Okay.
Yes.
It's podcast time, so I'm going to press the button that does the thing. I hope. Hello. It's December 1st, 2016.
This is Idle Thumbs 291. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
And I'm Jake Rodkin. And welcome to this podcast, this great podcast.
Thanks, Jake.
Oh,
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, Nick.
Hi.
So, Nick, I hear you've got a story.
Well, what are we talking about in general?
Well, yeah,
so
we should-
that's I'm
yeah.
just saying. So
Okay.
Nick's got a story. Jake
know if it's
finished.
a
Jake
good
finished
story.
Owlboy.
I did.
I'm still playing Planet Coaster, so we'll see how much blood is left in that stone. And this is probably going to be a relatively short episode because we're running late. But we'll get some reader mail in there too.
Yep.
But I want to
Yeah.
know Nick's story. I got to the office this morning to start recording, and what did I ask you? I said, how are you doing? And Nick said, I'm ruined. And I said,
Okay.
and I said, why are you ruined? And he said, I can't tell you until the podcast. So
Now I can tell you why I'm ruined.
I like that. Just
I lost a lot of money in the financial markets.
Well, no, like in like popular genre fiction, when someone has a really important story to tell, they first make sure that the room has no recording devices, and then turn on some music to make sure that it's not recorded. Whereas this is like
That's true.
something incredible happened. First, I need to step into a padded room and make sure that there are at least 3 microphones running.
Yeah.
preferably multiple cameras.
Yes.
Also, be sure it's being broadcast live so no one can miss anything.
Right. So, what's this story that is so important and secret that it must be documented in a padded room?
I wouldn't say it's important.
Okay.
It's not
That
secret.
is so
it's not
irrelevant
secret
to
either.
garbage.
Yeah,
It must be
it's
thrown
complete.
out.
Yeah,
It must be discarded.
And it must
Yeah.
be wasted in the most effective
Oh
way.
yeah, there was wasted life
Okay.
included in this story.
I'm gonna preface this story with my sole piece of knowledge
Yeah.
about what I suspect this story is going to be about, which is that about 10 minutes ago I went to the Idle Thumbs Twitch channel and looked at the archived videos and saw that the most recent video is a 9-hour and 45-minute
God.
stream by Nick featuring Dark Souls 1.
So my greatest fears were finally so here's the thing.
Was this the Dark Souls of Dark Souls streams?
Oh my god. I knew that this was coming at some point with this stupid series. Like I knew at some point it would actually get me.
So for context, Nick has been playing Dark Souls 1. Nick,
Yeah.
Nick, you essentially completed Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
Right? Effectively.
Well, I think
There's
people
some
would
other
say that I
stuff to
haven't,
pick up,
but yeah. There was a boss that called the Nameless King that was
Yeah.
this enormous dragon guy who is technically optional.
But you're not a true Dark Souls 3 player if you haven't beaten the king.
Basically. I got very, very close.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of saving him to go back. And,
Right. So that was your first real Dark Souls. That was your first like dive into Dark Souls and actually do it.
Yes.
So you've recently been going through and playing Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, which I've talked about on the podcast a little bit.
Yeah.
And it is still very strange because, as like somebody pointed out on the stream last night, that Dark Souls 1 has no 8-directional like rolling, for instance. Like dodging in this game
only
is very important.
4-directional.
It's only 4-directional. Little things like that are just killing me.
Yeah.
In my ability to actually like competently
good at
play
a
this
game.
It's like the
game.
uncanny valley of gameplay.
Yeah, it's really not great. Anyway, so I hit like the thing that everybody talks about with this game, which I don't know. It's like called this. It's this area of the game called Anor Londo, which I guess
remember
is
that
like the
from memes.
Valley of Kings or some kind of like crazy thing. You know, whatever. I don't know what it is, but it's like you hit this vista. It's this crazy looking castle. Okay, now you're in the real game. And I was like, all right, I guess. Like the first part of the stream was fine. Everything was great. There was a part where like everyone was like, oh, I can't wait till he gets to the archers. This is gonna be crazy. Everybody look out. It's gonna take him like 6 hours. And I just kind of like waltzed through it without even looking at chatter. I like just completely demolished it, and everyone was like pissed at me. People were so angry at me that I completely subverted their expectations.
Right.
And I was feeling so good. I was like, God, Dark Souls 1.
I bet you were.
I was like, Dark Souls 1, this is a cakewalk.
This is a baby game.
Oh, this is a baby game. Man, Dark Souls 3, that's the real
Like
stuff.
Dark Souls 3
Dark Souls 1.
truly prepared me.
Yes, Dark Souls 3, having conquered
its
Dark
shitty
Souls 3.
ancestor.
Yeah, this game has nothing on me. Oh my god. So there's this boss that is, I don't know, I guess like halfway through the game is where I'm at now, is what people are saying. It's so strange. So just to get it out there, I think I spent 5, maybe 6 straight hours trying to beat this single boss encounter.
Oh my god.
How late were you up?
2 a.m.
Okay.
Janelle was with me for some of it, and then she went to bed, and I kind of started to end the stream. Like, I closed everything down, and then my brain was just, like, unable to let it go. Like, I thought I was close. So, this boss is ridiculous.
What is the boss? Do you know
Here's
the name
the
of
thing
the
that's
boss?
so frustrating about it. It's not interesting. It's not a good boss. Like, it's a shitty boss. It's
Oh, you've
bad.
got a shitty boss?
Like, in Dark Souls, the thing that I love, like the reason I play the game is for the boss fights. Like the crazy
Right.
like towering
Right.
monsters and all that garbage. It's like Shadow of the Colossus, but with, you know, insane challenge, and it's fun. That's the part that I like. That's the part that like makes me want to play these games. Just throwing myself against the wall for like a half an hour, like learning some stuff, and then finally beating the thing and getting like an adrenaline rush and feeling like, okay, I did a thing. This boss is just like these 2 dumpy little guys in a room that is not like magnificent or notable. It's just a room with some columns. It's just a shitty room.
What do you mean by dumpy little guys?
Well, they're just dumpy. Like they're not. Well, one of them's just this big dumpy guy with a hammer. And then his little friend has got this spear that just like runs quickly or like shoots out.
My boss is not interesting. It's got these 2 shitty bosses. They're just like dumpy guys. It literally just sounds like you're complaining about your job.
Well, at this point, it feels like my job. Like I'm probably gonna go home and play
That's
this
true.
stupid
You put
game.
in a
So what the
9-hour
hell am I
day.
gonna do? They're just like they're like Abbott and Costello. Like one of them is like skinny and like has a spear and just like moves quickly. The other one's this big dumpy guy with a hammer. But they're dumb looking.
Abbott
like,
and Costello's classic Hallmark weapons.
But they're just
Abbott
like,
and Costello go to Anne Orlando.
right, yeah. They're just all gold. Like a you know like a
Abbott and Costello.
like Abbott and Costello. And so the whole trick with them is that one of them is slow and one of them is fast, and they attack you at the same time. Which like
Wait,
in
how does that
theory-
work?
Well,
Sorry, you painted a bad picture with that last sentence, but it's okay. One of them has to travel really far to get to you, so you get there at the same time. It's a word problem.
one of them leaves at
If
7
one
a.m.
dumpy boss leaves Anne
Dumpy boss
Orlando,
2,
going
whatever. We're
15
at
miles per
17
hour
kilo-
at 8
yeah.
a.m., and the other dumpy
I
boss...
understand what you actually mean. You just I
Yeah.
was confused because I'm an idiot.
Sorry,
I don't play real games.
No, see, this isn't a real game. This is just hell.
This is real life.
This is. So yeah, at like 8:30 p.m. I started, you know, this boss run, and I figured, all right, I'll just see how this goes. You know, usually within the first 10-15 minutes, you get a bead on like, okay, this thing's gonna be one of those bosses that just takes like 2 hours or something. I did pretty well on my first run. I thought, all right, like this is achievable. And then I had a run that basically. So there are 2 phases to this boss. So you got the 2 dumpy guys. When you kill one of the dumpy guys, the other dumpy guy gets absorbed into the other dumpy guy, and they turn into like the super dumpy guy. But
Is it like 2 guys in a suit?
the order matters. So yeah, basically, but so if you kill small guy first, big guy absorbs small guy and turns into like super big guy. But if you kill big guy first, small guy absorbs big guy. Turns into
So
super
it's
small
like
guy.
it's like the 2 different times. It's like when Abbott and Costello tried to sneak into a movie, and then the other one is like when Abbott and Costello tried to sneak into a fancy restaurant.
right. Yep, it's very much like that.
What is the distinction there exactly?
Oh, and one is the head in one, and the
Right,
the other one.
Yeah, big dumpy guy has a tiny head. So when he absorbs small guy,
I'm sure that has nothing to do with anything that's ever happened in Abbott and Costello.
anyway, so there was a moment where my brain just broke because I got basically all the way through the first phase, and then I triggered the second phase. Actually, the second phase, I think I got the guy down to like a third of his health, and then I died. And I thought, all right, well, I'm pretty close. I think this was like 9:30, you know. and people on chat were like, "Oh no! Just wait for the psychological well that is about to happen. The curve is about to take a sharp dive," and it fucking happened. And I got lost in this thing of like, I don't. It's weird. It reminds me of like if I'll watch like speedruns during the Games on Quick or something, you know. And then maybe for like a couple of days after that, I'll pretend that I'm into speedruns, and so I go and I watch like guys like Super Metroid speedrunners, right? And these guys, if you watch them, when they know they've like hit the run, they slip into this like crazy overdrive mode where they're like their palms get sweaty and like people start joining their Twitch chat like, oh, he's gonna do it, this is the run, and then when they lose, they're fucking destroyed because that could have been like the world record.
Yeah.
That essentially happened to me, I think around midnight, where I got so close and I got fucking wrecked at the very end of all this shit. And then after that, it was just like 2 hours of just denial, but then like just mental like wastage. Like I just mentally was not prepared for so I would do these runs where I'm just running through the hallways to get back to this thing, and then I would just die immediately. And then I would just keep doing that over and over and over again.
You were just a living metaphor for crunch time.
Somebody pointed that out in chat. Somebody said that in chat, actually.
This is like the psychological sort of research that suggests that past a certain number of overtime hours,
it's totally true.
You're so unproductive that the diminishing returns are so extreme that you're not really gaining anything.
Yeah.
But like that doesn't really stop people from overworking themselves.
Right.
In this case, Nick had an abusive boss.
He had the good boss, bad boss.
Nick's boss was feeding into Nick's own self-destructive tendencies, enabling this crunch.
I mean, the problem is he has two bosses. He doesn't know which one to go to.
Well, especially when they're hiding in the same pair of clothes.
That's true. And both attacking him with an axe.
This is deep.
Things
These are the life lessons you can learn from Dark Souls.
I mean, honestly, yeah. Like things got very surreal. Like people, like at a certain point, Twitch chat just turned over. So there was a whole other like New Zealand crew.
So this is the bad sign. When Twitch chat has a shift change and you
yeah.
don't, that means that you are definitely working too much.
People started coming onto the stream like, who is this guy? Nick Brecken, Idle Thumbs, what is this? Why is his face like overlaid over the... What's this internalization meter? Like, what is going on? Why is he pulling his hair out? This is really strange. He's not talking because Janelle was asleep and I couldn't talk. Like, it was fucking strange. And I was just locked in this prison of my mind because I knew that, like, at some point I'm going to beat this stupid thing.
Not tonight. Go home.
Well, that's what everyone was like. Just go to sleep.
In your work
go to
and
sleep.
go home.
Just go to sleep. Go to sleep. Please go to sleep. Because they wanted to go to sleep. There were so many people who were like sticking with me that I just felt like I had to give it a shot. Like I just knew that there was going to be a moment where I finally did it. And so I finally, like, I remember the moment. There's this guy who watches these Dark Souls streams called Problem Machine. And he occasionally gives me shit. Like, he occasionally, like, says things like, oh, he's not going to do it this time. You know, just like, this is going to be a bad podcast. Like, he's completely gone. Like, look at him. He's got no mental acuity.
Wow.
Like, he's just, this is pointless. Everyone should just go to bed. He's a piece of shit.
He forgets that you're reading the chat.
Yeah. And I saw that.
Or he doesn't.
I saw that, and it was like a defibrillator. It just shocked me right out of my malaise. I was like, okay, this is the run. I'm going to prove to this guy that I can do this. And I walked into the boss fight, and I just, like, I hit every dodge. I was running around. I didn't even take damage for, like, the first 5 minutes of the stupid thing. This is a long boss fight. It's like a 15-minute thing for each run. I was amazing. Like, everything was going right. I got to the final part of the boss, the second phase. The guy, like, resurrects. He turns into his big fucking thing. And then while the cutscene's playing, I look over at XSplit, the broadcasting software, and the stupid internalization meter was just like slightly off-centered on the screen.
Oh my god.
No, you fixed it!
Oh my god.
So I clicked off the game and adjusted it to be centered, and then when I clicked back, it triggered this like bug when you alt-tab out of Dark Souls,
Nick,
where the frame rate goes to shit and just is, you know, basically it kicks you out of the game, and I just
for Christ's
immediately lost. And this was at 1:30 or something.
My God,
Wait, that means you kept playing for an hour after that.
Yeah.
Jesus
Oh my
Christ.
god.
Oh, that's how I felt.
It's good that you recentered the internalization meter on your stream so that it could then immediately display
Drop
zero.
down to zero.
It was centered perfectly when it said 0.
Yeah.
It was off center because it was really high. People had put it up real high because I was doing real well, so I had to
it
adjust
never had
it.
3 digits before, so
I wanted it right there, for the final moment when all the hundreds came in.
Your hubris was your downfall.
Oh yeah.
I thought this was a crunch analogy, but no, it's just classic
Never go
hubris.
for it, Nick.
Yeah.
Never go for it.
There were many times I went for it.
So
Anyway.
the internalization meter was made by an Idle Thumbs listener, and it is a little. It's basically just a number from 0 to 100 that when people in chat type in a percentage, if you type in like 57% or 83%, it will average, I think, the last 20 of those and spit out a number that Nick can display on his stream in real time.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's enjoyable
Yeah.
when it is.
It's used as encouragement or feedback.
Yeah.
Or
Anyway,
discouragement.
so now I don't know where this leaves me because I just feel like if I may never beat this stupid thing. Like it literally feels like. I mean, a lot of people apparently just quit at this point. Apparently this is the wall, and apparently this is one of, if not the most difficult boss in the entire series. So I don't know what to do.
But you can do it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know. I mentally beat it.
Right.
But in reality, I have not.
Yeah.
So the disconnect of that is.
That's actually another psychological
worrisome.
principle that's really difficult.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
Once in your brain you've achieved something, it actually gives you all those dopamine hits that the actual accomplishment does, which makes you less likely to remain motivated to actually achieve the thing.
If you're dissatisfied with your job, don't tell your closest friends repeatedly how dissatisfied you are and how you're totally going to take another job and how you're going to take a vacation after you quit and stuff.
Right.
You're just total recalling yourself a fake version of quitting, and then you will not quit your job.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't take the mental vacation, or don't do the mental accomplishment before you actually do it, or you fuck yourself.
It is weird. Like playing this game actually does reveal a lot of things, not just about yourself, but just about the way that your brain works. And it's actually, well, yes, but I mean just brains in general. Just the dips and. Okay. My brain is everybody's brain, Chris. Nope. Maybe not. No, the thing that's revealed about myself that is actually entirely true is that I will never quit. If I just determine that I'm actually doing this thing, then I just won't stop. Even if I never beat it, I'll just never fucking stop. That is actually a thing that is true about me.
Right.
Where there's some things I don't care about at all, and I just quit them before I even start them. But then the thing that I say I'm gonna do, I just won't. Even if I'm bad at it, I will just keep doing. I will just throw myself against the fucking wall. And it's weird because people in chat were saying that about me, and it's totally true. It has just revealed my soul to
your dark soul,
to the people that are watching this stupid thing. Yeah, and it's bizarre.
It has revealed your soul, and it was a dark soul.
Yeah.
It has illuminated your soul.
Anyway,
your once dark soul.
No, it's still dark.
Okay.
So that's my dumb.
It's like that
Dark
paint
Souls
that you can
experience.
shine any amount of light on, and it still just absorbs 100% of it.
Yeah. I mean, so I was going to wait till the second half to talk about this, and I think it won't be a long discussion.
Yeah.
But so the only thing I've been playing really is Planet Coaster.
Right.
And I feel like that game is also putting a mirror to my soul.
Yeah.
Which is just, in this case, it is exhibiting just the opposite
Sorry,
reality.
The picture of those mirrors is hilarious to me because Nick is fighting this boss, but they're just
I'm
there's
just
a merry-go-round, it goes in a roller coaster goes by with a kid cheering.
Yeah. No, I'm in the padded room just screaming at the top of my lungs. Meanwhile, camera wipes through that wall to Chris just
I mean, it's an even more outrageous picture than the one you're painting because the actual thing that is happening in mine is literally just landscaping.
Right.
I am spending hours and hours and hours
You're just gardening.
Painstakingly putting down trees and bushes and arranging things. It's actually it's sort of when you look at it, it's like a fractal. My park footprint has almost not increased in size at all, but the density of what is there continues to get. Yeah, I mean it's cool. I am enjoying it. I'm just playing this game. I haven't been streaming it or anything recently. I've just been playing it just privately in sort of it's like a Zen state, and I'm just going and I'm just every.
It's like your bonsai tree or something.
You know what
you're just trimming
it. Really is
and,
like that.
I'm sad that Planet Coaster didn't come out 6 months before we started production on Firewatch because you could have helped.
I know, Jane
do
made
level
that point
design
on Twitter.
The amount of terrain sculpting and then planting foliage to be aesthetically pleasing on these little paths was just what world art on Firewatch was.
Right, and I've just and
except you can't then put a beef chief and a sick roller coaster in the middle of it.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that's the stuff that I'm least enthusiastic about. Not because I don't like that stuff or because it's not fun. I'm just I'm just getting so into
So you're
just the
making
environmental
you're
stuff.
making like the botanical garden style theme park, like
Busch Gardens, yes.
Well, Busch Gardens has the roller coasters, but there's ones that are more just
I guess
like
true. Yeah.
What I really want is what I'm kind of hoping
this
to
is like
make,
Olmstedian civic park architecture.
Yeah, World's Fair style.
Yeah.
No, what
Okay.
I'm trying to kind of do is make something,
The pavilion.
or what I will do actually, once I actually start making more buildings, I kind of want to make something that's sort of like Main Street USA and Disneyland, but with a lot more green space.
Imagine like Main Street USA if it was Hill Valley from Back to the Future, or the town from Gremlins. That's
Yeah,
the
I've
same
never
set.
seen Gremlins.
It's the same. It's literally the.
Yeah.
Imagine a Universal Studios, if you will, but you could walk around in it. Give him.
I don't know. I haven't been there. Sorry. But then, as I was saying this stuff, it occurred to me that I wonder if our souls are really all that different, because the fractal may not just be of the park; it may also be of myself. Because, like, I think one of the reasons I'm getting so into this right now is in part because I feel so like stressed and disconcerted
Yes.
about life in
Yes.
general.
Yes.
Right now,
Well-
and, like I am sort of. It's almost, I think, sort of revealing like an obsessive compulsive tendency where I'm just like going deeper and deeper and deeper into like smaller and smaller parts of this park, like at the exclusion of the rest of my park, or also maybe life and the world.
When you meditate,
right,
yeah. When you meditate, they tell you to visualize just like a dot on the wall.
Yeah, but that's
right?
that's
And
different than like these rocks right here will be perfect. As like behind you, fighter jets just soaring over to just a war somewhere.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
No, that's the no. I mean,
It's just like this water feature.
Meanwhile, Nick is exhibiting his like impotent rage as he's like, "I will fix that. I will achieve it." Meanwhile, the thing, the thing against which you're raging cares not at all.
That
and
image,
is entirely
that image has not been lost on me.
Unperturbed by your efforts.
Right. Both of those realities are disturbing, but in different ways.
Yeah.
But similar sources for sure.
Yeah.
It is easy to block out the internet when you're focused on the tiniest corner of the internet where you're streaming a dumb video game. But yeah, anyway.
I mean, the metaphor.
Wait, you're saying your Dark Souls stream is Chris's
the metaphor
garden?
is actually extended to me not streaming this. I'm literally just isolating myself.
That's true. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
Planet Coaster is really good.
It is really, really, really good.
All I've done so far is make just trash roller coasters that come out of blobs in the dirt, which is just the way that I think a lot of people probably start playing Planet Coaster. It's not how you started, Chris. You started by like, I will make the like gilded monorail that encircles my park, and then I will put cross monorails. Like you immediately, that was when you were on your like transit kick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, let me make a mountain, and then let me poke holes in it, and then let me make a roller coaster that does a bunch of loops inside of it. Oh, it's really shitty. Oops.
I actually think now probably the best way to start if I were starting over is to draw and I don't know, I could be wrong about this, but if at any point I start a new park, this is what I'm going to do, and I think it's a good middle ground between those two, is to draw out a basic path structure for essentially the whole park. Because you can change those for free. Like it's not like replacing a ride is really hard, but redoing paths is kind of annoying, but not that hard.
If I were to embark on a real park, I would probably actually go as far as starting on paper, drawing about where I want things to be, then getting basic. This is going to be a high point. This is going to be a low point. Like do like really rough topology. Then run basic paths into those.
I mean,
and then
it's like a level design workflow, right?
Yes.
I mean,
that's also
funny.
the way that you would actually make a theme park. I think like the way that you would make Disneyland.
Oh, for
is
sure.
You would draw the basic
start with
lines
that
out
map.
first, then the construction or the bulldozers come and move all the dirt around. You know.
The thing that slightly runs up against that sometimes with this game is you don't actually, depending on how ambitious you're being with certain rides, you don't know if you can pull it off before you've actually, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are it depends, and if you're conservative with your design, I think it'd be fine, but some of the things that I've done.
This is where I'm going to have my interlocking roller coaster and boat ride,
and
then a bridge is going to go through it, and I'm just going to leave this. I'm just going to earmark that for that.
It's
and
the ride that's just permanently the facade is up and never got finished. And
yeah, for sure. I think you have to be willing to reset that stuff. Like, for sure. But I think the reason to start with some kind of loose path plan is that at least you always have a next step.
Yeah.
Like one of the things I'm running into now is like, oh man, this area looks so great and awesome.
But you don't know how to, it's not contextualized by anything else,
exactly.
right?
Yep. That's exactly right. So I'm trying.
That's also true when you're building like a SimCity city. If you have, at least in the more modern SimCities,
That's true. The difference is that in SimCity, you're not really. At least there probably are people who play SimCity like this. I've never been compelled to, but like you're not thinking about like person's eye view sightlines and stuff in the way you are building a theme park. SimCity,
though, by way of commercial, industrial, residential, and the power grid, it sort of enforces you to have at least the beginning of a long-term plan.
Yeah,
where you're like, I'm going to put my
Yeah.
power plant way off over here because it pollutes, and that means my residential ends up over here, and then you sort of end up figuring out where commercial zones and industrial zones go.
It's
and
true.
You have
Whereas the first time you play SimCity, you kind of just start building them all close to each other and you realize, oh, this
But
is
then all subsequent playthroughs of that game, you have some basic broad city plan in your brain, even if you have to respond and change it. And I think that holding that true even in creative mode in Planet Coaster makes sense.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
Or just put a bunch of holes in the ground and put stupid roller coasters in them.
Right.
I fucked it up so bad that I immediately had to like dig out and around the like default starting tunnel. Like my roller coaster basically punches through the walkway into the park. So before people even get into the gate, someone just goes woo past them in that tunnel on a roller coaster.
Cool,
I know
that could be cool.
The fact that you can do that at all was really encouraging.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean the more charitable interpretation of my Planet Coaster habits, which has been pointed out by some people, is that it's essentially Bob Ross. Like it's basically just like a calm, relaxed, like happy little trees construction kit.
Yep.
Basically.
So you've got to now just put the big mountain in the background, and you've really.
I have the big mountain in the background. It's and there's a train that goes through it, which I'm really excited about. There's a little lake in front of it with a waterfall, and I actually made like a new little zone, kind of like in a sort of non-essential area that is like a little path going over a tiny little pond with a little waterfall.
Okay, this is a Bob Ross park.
Our two parks are going to be like complete opposites.
Yeah.
Because I've got the mountain, but it's just going to be this hell ride.
Right.
I've already got the ride in mind. It's just going to be fucking garbage.
So I started actually last night trying to make my first like non-prefab ride. Like I currently have like a carousel and just another just like prefab ride that I had just to sort of incentivize travel, but I'm starting to make my first actual, and I have my train, which is a transport ride, but I want to make a track, like an indoor dark track ride, and I want it to be my version of like Mr. Toad from Disneyland, where you
have
go
the
to
cars.
hell
You
for
got
no
the car-
reason.
the car
I'm
cars.
using the car one. Yeah,
that'll be good.
And that's gonna, I think, go under a bunch of the stuff that's currently in my park, and then it'll be under like a hill that I hopefully will pull up at the very end after the whole thing's been created.
Yeah.
So.
My Fantasyland is going to be a combination of the Wizard ride, which will be a log flume where when the organ part from the Wizard song hits, will be the ramp taking you up to the Wizard's face over top of the drop, like Splash Mountain.
Right.
And then some kind of Dark Souls themed thing to be determined.
Are you going to use the original Wizard or the re-recorded Wizard?
Well, I think I'm going to use a combination. I think I'm going to use the new version, the album version for the intro, and I think I'm going to try playing them off of the speakers, because I realized the speaker objects that you can place, one, are not actually like they don't desync. Like if you drop a speaker that's playing a particular music file, you can drop a bunch of them, and as the car goes through, it will actually maintain.
They'll all be playing
the sync in the same way that like Pirates of the Caribbean would or something.
Right.
And so you can actually, instead of just having the song playing through the car itself, you can drop those speakers in.
Wait, does that mean can you have multiple speakers that are synced and playing different audio files?
You can. Well,
because
those won't be chained together.
That's what you actually need for Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's the true theme park attraction, right? Is where you can have you can have like the band over here playing the band, and then you can have the weird opera singing lady over to the left singing, and have those be spatially positioned.
You definitely
time locked.
You definitely can. Well, the time lock part would
time
be
lock
all
is what
by.
you need
That's
to actually
crucial.
achieve that.
Yeah,
without that, it'll become a mess.
You can trigger them on the track, but it'd be
that
really
wouldn't-
tough.
no, you couldn't-
It'd be
that wouldn't be-
really tough.
That wouldn't be.
You'd have to trigger them all at the same point.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can do that, but it would be, again, you could do it in a room, right? You could do it in a room, and you could cut up the audio files, which is what I thought about doing.
Sure.
That would be too. I think that would be too rickety to work. I think
it would
be
be
gaps, and it would be weird.
There would be gaps.
I feel that
There are gaps in
little
Pirates right
esoteric.
now. It's not good. I hate it. Anyway, Let's move on.
Yeah, we don't need to.
Yeah.
It's
We'll
great
save
time.
this for our
We can
Planet
find out if
Coaster
anyone has done
spin-off
this.
cast. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we take a break?
Yeah.
Okay. Take a break.
Yep.
All right. A quick break.
Let's do some ads.
Yeah. The
This
way
just
the way
made me
pirates.
realize that the Planet Coaster ride that someone should make is a Pirates of the Caribbean-esque ride that is literally just using assets from Monkey Island,
Oh my god.
including all the
Why
interactive
didn't you say
music
this on the
tracks.
podcast?
That would be good.
That's
He's on a Twitch stream right now.
Who
so
cares?
that's fine.
Yeah, it's Twitch exclusive content.
This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by NatureBox. NatureBox will send you snacks from an unbelievably wide variety right to your home or office. NatureBox has tons of different snacks, savory, sweet, little snacks to snacks verging on meals. They've got everything. We love those Big Island pineapple slices, those dried pineapple slices. Always mention them because they are always delicious. They got little crispy chunks of things. They've got peas. They've got sort of fries. They have corn sticks. They have pretzels. They have literally just every kind of snack that you would think of when you think
All
about
the snacks that you
It's
would
true.
ever want to eat.
Is true. And if you go to naturebox.com/thumbs, you can get 50% off your first order. That is half off your first order of delicious and varied snacks.
Nice.
It is nice at naturebox.com/thumbs. They got those sort of yogurt pretzels. They have Greek yogurt pretzels, which is interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah, of various multiple flavors of these. They have little garlic bread cheese bites, They've got all kinds of dried fruits and fruit chews. They have bars. They have sort of granola style bars. It's ridiculous. They just have so much stuff. It's crazy.
And they send it right to you.
They do. They send it right to you, and you can eat it immediately. If you go to naturebox.com/thumbs, you will get 50% off your first order. NatureBox, tons of snacks. naturebox.com/thumbs, 50% off.
Nice.
This episode of Idle Thumbs is also brought to you by Omaha Steaks.
Omaha Steaks.
Omaha
This is a new sponsor.
Mm.
Well, new to this podcast, not as new to us, because we got some Omaha Steaks a while ago at this point, and then Nick and Janelle came over to our apartment, and we
ate all that stuff.
combined some Omaha Steak supplies and had a big meal. Did we have the filet mignon or the sirloin? I think we had the
fillets.
We had the fillets.
And those potatoes.
We had potatoes, these au gratin potatoes.
And those apple
We had
tarts.
apple tarts. Those were really good.
Yeah.
These desserts that you bake at your house.
What all is in this box, Chris, that we received?
Okay. This is a ridiculous box. This is crazy. Okay. So the Omaha Steaks deal box that you can get with the Idle Thumbs code, with the code IDLE, is 2 filet mignon, 2 top sirloins, 2 boneless pork chops, 4 boneless chicken breasts, 4 kielbasa sausages, 4 burgers, a 12-ounce package of meatballs, all beef meatballs, 4 of these potato au gratin balls, 4 caramel apple tarts, just some steak seasoning, and an additional 4 kielbasa sausages thrown in there. It's ridiculous. If you go to omahasteaks.com, enter the code IDLE in the search bar. You can just type IDLE and hit enter.
Into the search at the
and
top.
then it'll
Yeah.
pop up. That is the family gift pack for 77% off. And it comes with all of that stuff. It's ridiculous. I still have some of that stuff in my freezer.
Me too.
And the useful thing is that some of it is pre-cooked. Obviously the kielbasa sausages are pre-cooked because that's what those are. And then, plenty of other just nice meats to prepare when you have a little bit more planning. What I do is I just sort of defrost them in the morning before I go to work. Or I put them in the fridge before I go to work. I come home and then I can grill up a steak or a burger or whatever on
And the way they're packaged, you just throw them in that sous vide.
That's true. I have a sous vide circulator and I use that because I'm a fancy asshole.
Yep.
But what are you going to do? Yeah, so we had that whole meal. It worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
And plenty more left in those Omaha Steaks
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you go to omahasteaks.com, this is kind of weird, but you have to go into the search bar, type in IDLE, just search for IDLE, hit enter, and then you will see the family gift box.
How much is that gift box?
It's a good question.
Well, it's 77% off.
It's 77% off. I believe it's $50.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah. And it comes with a ton of meat. And you can freeze it.
Not just meat, all kinds of things.
That's true, not just meat.
And they also, on Omaha Steaks, the website, they have things like wine pairings
That's true.
and
do.
all sorts of stuff you wouldn't expect.
That's true.
Ice cream, I've heard.
Dog treats.
Well, there you go.
So
Yeah.
who can say what you would want out of this
Sounds like you can.
smorgasbord?
Sounds like you can, Nick Brecken.
Well, I love a good wine pairing.
I know you do. If you go to omahasteaks.com, enter code IDLE, get that outrageous box for 77% off. What else do you need?
I don't know.
It'll feed you for weeks. Or a friend or family member.
In
At-
this
in
holiday
this
season,
holiday
in this
season.
season of giving,
Yeah.
of giving and receiving steaks.
Mm-hmm. All
Cool.
right.
Thanks,
omahasteaks.com, search for the code IDLE.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what's up?
Are we back?
Oh, we can be back.
Why not? Why not just be back?
We're back.
Sure, we're
Whoa.
Jake finished Owlboy. It was so weird to consider that Jake would have finished a video game that
Oh, that's true, yeah.
my brain
Yep.
adjusted it.
Jake beat
Jake
Owlboy.
beat Owlboy.
I beat Owlboy.
You beat him.
You beat him right.
Whoa. Let's see. We talked about Owlboy a couple weeks ago.
Couple weeks
I
ago.
guess, Chris,
Yeah.
when you and I both started it.
It's like an action platformer, I would say.
Yeah, that's an accurate way of describing it. It's kind of Metroidy. It's
Metroidy,
kind of
yeah.
twin stick shooty.
Yeah.
But it's also really like
2D side scrolling.
It's even though in the later game the combat and especially the bosses get more intense, like way more intense than I was expecting early on. I ate shit on bosses a lot. The game overall has a really sort of chilled out vibe to it. And that was actually, I don't know how spoilery I should get on Owlboy, but I might. So if it matters to you and you're playing through Owlboy, I guess stop listening for a few minutes because I'm probably not going to talk for too long about it. But the thing that was strange to me about the entirety of Owlboy, and this is the thing that I think might actually, some people probably are going to be really into it and some people will probably be put off by it, is the entire story of Owlboy is basically the story of not being a protagonist. When you and I played it at the beginning, you especially remarked on how the whole like opening hour of the game is you basically your player character basically being shit on by every NPC for being just a failure, for being just kind of a wimpy, like just kind of quiet, passive, like beta character almost.
Yeah, you're just like you're unaccomplished as an owl boy.
Yeah, and
Is he physically an owl or is he a boy dressed as an owl?
I've never quite understood that because their faces their faces are bird-like, but they also seem to have to wear a cape to fly.
Yeah.
I didn't get into the, I'm not deep enough into the lore of the owls to understand that. I think you're an owl boy.
That's true. It's true.
But over the course of the game, you get a party of 3 characters that have different weapons, but they're also NPCs in the story, and they're all. It ended up being a kind of like Band of Losers story to the point, that, but it goes so far with that, it goes beyond what I was ever actually expecting. Like, you don't defeat the boss of the game. You
just like in Dark Souls 1.
Right.
Yeah, like. Every time where you're on a quest to retrieve 3 artifacts, you don't retrieve any of them. The villain gets them, and then another NPC eventually stops them, and you stop that NPC. But even then, the true big, huge, like giant space pirate villain comes in and just kicks everyone's butt. And all you end up doing at the end of the game is like rotating 3 discs on a big ancient artifact while everyone else fights the boss, and then the game's over.
Oh wow!
It's like. It's very strange.
Did it work for you?
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
I think that there was a part in the middle of the game that I talked about just very briefly when I was the happiest with Owlboy, and it was when it was in its most video game where like you're just inside like 3 interconnected series of catacombs. It felt the most like a chunk out of like Super Metroid's world or something. That part was the part that I enjoyed the most. Probably it ended up slowly devolving into increasingly frequent boss battles again and increasingly frequent cutscene content again as it got towards the end of the game. And I was really bad at the bosses. I guess like I have respect for it for committing to that for the entirety of it. Like at the end, you and your little like crew of friends are like the people responsible for defeating the evil, blah 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 blah, but it only happens because like the other character who steals all the artifacts from the villain is like the second most picked on Owlboy, who then decides that he's going to like learn the ways of the owl, and he becomes corrupted, and you
classic.
Yeah, but then like even then he is still kind of just a lame-o dork who you beat up, and then it's very strange. It was very strange. I don't even. I feel like I should have more of a takeaway, but it's such an uncommon game story. But I'm having trouble untangling whether or not the parts that didn't sit well with me were literally because that was the type of story that it was, or because there were things about it in its execution that didn't quite gel with me as much as I would like. And I think that's probably an easy confusion, like an easy two things to get muddled together. Like, this is different. Do I not like it because it's not literally just giving me all the things that I want, or do I have issues with it because, just it doesn't quite hit its own intended mark, even just within itself, and not with it, not taking my expectations either personally or as a game player into account. It was, but the visual imagery of the game continues to be really good, and just sort of the feeling of exploring the world is good. Like the final sequences of that game are really impressive. They start introducing all sorts of little technical things from the sort of vintage that it's playing in, which is almost like supercharged pixel art console, where like you end up getting like the reflective parallaxing floors that feel like the ground plane of like a fighting game. I don't know, like there's little technical details like that I just like was eating up, but at the same time it was just a very strange experience.
I mean, you saying that makes me reflect on just how difficult it is to mess with the sort of protagonist formula in a video game, because you have to inhabit that role while ostensibly being the agency that your character has in the game is different to the agency all the other characters have in the game, because theirs is prescribed and yours is like up to you to. I mean, it can still be prescribed, but you still have to act in order to affect that agency. And that's just a weird like unevenness that isn't present in other forms of storytelling, and it does like hamper. I don't know. I mean, because I also am someone who would certainly like. I like when games play with that formula, and I like when games don't just explicitly cater to like your character is the just agreed upon protagonist, and they're obviously the best and the coolest. Like, I like when games don't do that, but it's really hard to do that in a way that is effective because of these just like built-in properties of how games work.
I mentioned it briefly when talking about Owlboy a couple episodes back, but a thing that I did think about a lot when playing Owlboy, obviously not mechanically, but in some of the themes and the aesthetic, is the first two Monkey Island games. Because in those games, Guybrush Threepwood, the player character, is someone who the entire world basically thinks nothing of, especially in the first game. Like, his whole thing is, I'm this like wimpy guy with a slight build amongst all these like beer-swilling, adventure-having pirates. And it also does a thing very consistently that Owlboy does, which is you're out to acquire like X number of very important artifacts, and every time one of those milestones is hit, it cuts to a room with a humongous, broad-shouldered, weirdly bearded pirate talking about the fact that one of those artifacts has been recovered. But like Owlboy literally has the cutscenes look exactly like the scenes in Monkey Island 2 when you're getting the voodoo doll ingredients. The difference though is, even though in the story of the Monkey Island games, Guybrush Threepwood has this reputation and everyone bags on him, as a player, you're still just being the hottest shit in the world. You're like, you get all the voodoo ingredients, you figure out how to make your ship go to Monkey Island. Like, that game never actually like withholds success from you on the mechanical level, even though the story is that. Whereas in Owlboy, you're like, I'm going to get that artifact, and then just the last move that the boss does before you kill him is go and like cutscene his way out with the artifact in his hand, or like you leave a temple and it just is destroyed and you don't know if anyone's going to get it, and then it cuts to the evil pirate saying, haha, I have it, and it's very strange.
I mean, I think probably a lot of that is in proportion to how much the game is actually based on mechanics at all, right? Like Monkey Island is just a much, or any adventure game, any sort of graphic adventure game, is just a much less mechanically sort of determined game than something like Owlboy or really any platformer. And so when in Monkey Island, the sort of disconnect between the game sort of saying like, oh, your character's kind of put upon, but you actually succeeding, like the gulf between those things is mechanically much smaller than an Owlboy, when it's like the one way you have to interact with this game is through its player mechanics.
Yeah,
and that is the thing that you will not use to ultimately succeed. You will succeed through this like ambiguous, like sort of dynamic, fictionally that you have no input into.
Especially with the 3 artifact thing. Like the game has a feeling of a Metroid game, and it has a screen that looks like it's a power-up screen. And you fill it in, but then when it says there are these 3 ancient artifacts that the owl people made that when combined give the wearer ultimate power, you're like, okay, I know what this is. And you set up an expectation of literally I'm going to pick up these 3 things and I'm going to unlock a new axis of interaction. And I think that's probably where I suspect if people are disappointed with Owlboy, it is because that expectation is that mechanical expectation is super subverted, where it's just like, no, someone else steals these, and
which in like an Indiana Jones movie would not be surprising,
right?
But in a game where you spend the entire time like doing mechanical stuff, it is more than you would think.
The best moment for me in both Monkey Island 1 and 2 is actually the moment when the game does straight up withhold your success from you. Like in Monkey Island 1, you spend the entire first act of the game completing the 3 trials, and when you get those complete, you're going to be a pirate. But then when you come back to town, having completed the 3 trials, you see LeChuck's pirate ship sail away with Elaine. And it's like, well, your 3 trials don't mean shit, actually, because the guy did it. Or in Monkey Island 2, you spend like 3 adventure games worth of time building the 4 map pieces together, and then you give them to the cartographer, and you're like, I'm going to get the map, and I'm going to fucking win. And then he's immediately kidnapped. I think those moments work really well in that game. But yeah, it's because you're not thinking about, oh, I'm going to be able to shoot my gun twice as fast, and then I just can't, and I'm never going to be able to. Like
Monkey Island 2 isn't actually like a map making game.
Right.
That's just like a thing that's happening as a result of everything you're doing. But it's not like, oh, cool, I've been using maps, and now I have this cool map. Oh, no, I can't use the
cool map. You actually do use a map in Monkey Island 2 to get from island to island.
Oh, that's true, you're right. But that's
the feeling that you have is,
that's structure rather than mechanic.
I've achieved these things, so I'm now going to progress the story. And then in an adventure game or in a movie, the same thing, you have the opportunity to say, I'm going to use this moment, I'm going to subvert it and give you not what you expect, but something that actually reveals itself to be more interesting than that. Whereas in a game where what it actually is doing is saying, here's an artifact, you don't get it. I mean, I assume what they're trying to say in Owlboy is the experience you're going to get instead of what you thought is going to be more interesting. You're going to get this story about friendship and about overcoming the expectations of people who don't see you for who you are. But that's really fucking hard to pull off when you're also doing that inside of a Metroid game. Instead of a twin stick shooting, like rapid weapon swapping Metroid game. It's a high bar that they set, I guess, for themselves, and I don't know.
Maybe they need to do the like Metal Gear Solid 2 version of this, where halfway through the game you just start playing as the guy who eventually steals those artifacts from you, and then I don't know, it reconciles at the end.
Make you play as that guy and realize that it's bad and you hate it, and that you want to be the Owlboy again.
Right.
No, I don't know.
It's like you're incredibly powerful, but the controls are really fiddly, and you're like, oh, this power is so hard to control.
Right. Yeah. And giant ladder.
It's
this
like
power,
a metaphor.
Gross. It's just GTA drunk controls all the time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but there's making a point.
Wow.
It's showing how hard power is to control.
I assume that when you're drunk in Grand Theft Auto, that's like a statement about alcohol abuse.
About how when you're drunk you can't walk very well.
How it's so much more fun when you're drunk.
That's true.
How it's wacky and weird things happen.
Yeah.
You get hit by a car and
We do
whatever else.
Reader mail?
Yeah, we should read mail. Oh, you got the one
secret
surprise story.
topic.
So I played so last week during our Squarespace ad, we mentioned a game called The Senpai, which is a Seinfeld visual novel.
Oh, right.
And then someone and was like, "Oh, that's hilarious." And then on Twitter, someone replied to me or to Idle Thumbs, I can't remember, and said, "Thank you for mentioning The Senpai. I really liked it." And I'm like, oh, I guess I should actually just play that. So I went to play it, which if you didn't hear last week's ad read, it's at pntgrm.com, pentagram with no vowels.com. And I played through it, and it's kind of great. It's really fucking good.
Yeah.
It is a Seinfeld game. It's like it's sort of one of those like really stripped down adventure games where there's just sort of scenes, and then under it is dialogue, and sometimes you can choose what your dialogue response will be, and you're not playing as
Jerry.
I mean, you are Jerry. I guess you're effectively Jerry, and so you're like sort of moving through, but you're not always Jerry though. Like it's just like. I think a lot of these games work this way. You're just sort of controlling whatever the scene is at the moment. And so you're just sort of hopping around in the story. And the story is like, I assume this must be a common anime premise. Like playing this game, I'm like, there's got to be a bunch of shit that like people who like anime people are just like, oh, it's like that from animes. Which I mainly just got the Seinfeld jokes. But like, the premise is that like Jerry and Elaine and George and Kramer are, I guess, like teens in school.
Oh man, so it's like a teen dating game.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Oh, that's what all of these games are.
But it's not even like a dating game. It's literally just like a choose your own adventure, basically.
Right.
There's no like stats or anything. Well, I guess I don't know. I assume dating games have stats.
I don't know.
Maybe,
I've never
maybe
really
not.
played
Maybe
one.
they don't actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always kind of assumed they were like RPGs.
Well, there was that pigeon game that was.
Oh right,
and
the boyfriend.
Hatful boyfriend. Or that's my only. I played like 2 minutes of that, but I don't know what the commonality of all this stuff is.
But anyway, so the reason it's called the Senpai is because George has a senpai who doesn't notice him, which I'm like aware is a thing because of memes on the internet about senpai not noticing people.
Okay.
So that's a thing that happens to George in this game. I'm not the right person to communicate like the nuances of why this game is funny.
Right.
But if you've seen enough Seinfeld, you can just sort of like the creator of this game did a really good job like nailing the sort of assholishness of Jerry and the way that all these people are friends but are all sort of terrible, and the way that like Jerry and George can basically get treated entirely differently for essentially acting the same way.
Yeah.
It's really good if you like that show, and they're sort of being aware of just the presence of anime on the internet, but not really knowing any of the tropes firsthand gives the whole thing like a really weird and good vibe where I'm like, oh, I can totally tell this is a thing where like senpai is an asshole. And it's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's like the combination of being intensely familiar with one half of the influence on this game and like having this sort of like hazy awareness of the other half, but not intimate familiarity, results in this weird brew of like this sort of very uncanny result that I really enjoyed. So I would recommend The Senpai. Which is a Seinfeld visual novel, and it can be found at pntgrm.com and played for free in your browser. I deliberately didn't look up the word senpai. I always assumed senpai meant like teacher, but apparently not. Apparently it's like I think Jerry in the game describes it as like your superior. So it's like someone who's could be essentially a peer, but you look up to them, and they just like ignore you or think you're not as good as they are, basically. Okay. As far as I can tell. So that's the sort of premise of this game. And it's very good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I want to play that game.
I should have collected my thoughts about this clearly ahead of
time. I think that's...
You were just excited to reveal its existence.
Yeah, I mean, I was, and I didn't think beyond that point.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's good, and only it takes maybe 20 minutes. It was actually longer than I expected it to be. There's a lot of stuff. It's quite good, and it ends in it has the hallmarks of a Seinfeld episode where there's like a couple different plots running through it, and then they converge in a spectacular way at the end. It's really sharp. It's very good.
I think. Go ahead.
Oh no.
I think we should keep reader mail real short.
Okay. That's fine.
Sorry, readers.
Sad readers.
Yeah. Anyway, I really liked that thing. I'm sorry that my thoughts about it were so incoherent.
It's fine.
Yeah. All right. Reader mail. What do we have this week? Jonathan Anderson writes, people give Nick a hard time on the Dark Souls streams for not seeing or remembering things he walked past, but I can't imagine playing the game without the days I spent learning the environment through repetition. It's easy to forget just how confusing and foreign the game is when you start, and Nick is playing the game basically entirely from that perspective. In that context, it's crazy that he does as well as he does. Watching Nick and Janelle play Dark Souls has been great fun. Thanks for the stream. Jonathan Anderson.
Go ahead.
We've gotten a few tweets from people
Yeah.
that just say, quote, I know where the what role you're trying to find, some character. Like, I know where this guy is, quote, dash Nick Brecken, and then a map of the route
The
that
maps,
you take.
yeah, that's what I was
where
gonna-
someone just
that's
has
what I was
this
gonna
like
say, yeah.
completely just wild
yeah.
Byzantine line wrapping around itself 3 times. It's like, it's like Nick's route to this character,
Right.
Nick's route from that character. It's just completely different and
It's
insane.
kind of impressive that they've managed to do.
I know.
Like,
I love it. I
accurately
love that
draw the
quote
line
is-
through that.
the quote
yeah.
on top is, I know where this guy is. But yeah, when I watch people play that game as someone who has obviously no internalization of that map, I mean, that's like,
There are doors that are just. You can't
there are
even.
doors
Yeah,
that
no,
are
no.
both.
I wouldn't. No, for
But
sure.
it's
I-
great that people can just can draw exactly how you're fucking it up on
it
the
makes
map.
me
Yeah.
want. It makes me want us to like be a little more on the ball and stream more stuff right when it comes out.
Yeah.
To see what because that would just be a totally
That's
different
true.
dynamic, right? Like
Yeah.
it's weird streaming a game that's 5 years old. So of course Chad is. I mean, I'm sure Chad has also people who aren't intimately familiar, but it definitely has people who know that whole thing inside and out.
Yep.
So it leads to this weird thing where they're like pulling their hair out, being like, "How can I? He just did X."
We will be able to stream the
Oh, man, you're right.
the absolutely hottest games that no one has played when we do the stream of Wizard Jam.
That's true.
Because Wizard Jam 4, the Idle Thumbs Game Jam, is going on right now. It's in the middle of its second week of 2 weeks, so it finishes up this coming weekend. There's some incredible stuff in Wizard Jam this year. There's incredible stuff every year, but if you want to go look at some crazy games with jokes you'll understand, if you're a person who listens to this podcast, you should go to the idlethumbs.net forums and go to the Wizard Jam forums. There's a thread in there for basically every single game in the jam, and there's some real good stuff. I'm pleased to report that Dot Gobbler seems to have become the patron saint of Wizard Jam and
good.
features passively or actively in a lot of
good.
stuff now. So
That's nice.
if you just want a sad Pac-Man eating stuff, Dot Gobbler is in Thumbsland, the theme park, but also I saw there was someone was doing Rolling with the Pope, which was an old Idle Thumbs episode, and it's a Pope mobile where you have, but it's you have control. It's like a lowrider, and you can like control the height of all the wheels independently. But then it has just like a fat Dot Gobbler up in the Pope area.
Good.
Yeah, but just the hydraulics controls on that Pope mobile were also very nice. It was a good roll.
People always
demo.
like
Good vehicles in Wizard Jam.
good vehicle
traditionally.
stuff.
Yeah.
Which is surprising.
People have made
Yeah.
some impressively like full-featured
Yeah.
vehicle-based
There's a
games.
good but Ghost in the Shell.
Oh man.
Yeah, I haven't looked
Don't
at any
spoil.
of
Don't
this stuff 'cause
spoil.
I'm waiting
Yeah,
for the
I haven't
stream.
looked at anything.
All I will
don't
say is
wanna
that
know.
Ghost in the Shell is made by the person by At or Atta, I don't know who made Idle Thumbs Demo Disc, which was the one
Oh,
that was
yeah.
like the 6 games.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
their game this time is Ghost in the Shell. Yeah, I'm not
Nice.
going to spoil anything for Chris and Nick.
Sure.
Because you guys, I want your reactions to be pure when we actually go through and play all these things, which we have to set a date for, but
Yep.
who knows when that'll be. Because
Hopefully not too long from now.
No, this jam is just colliding with Christmas, so we're gonna have to do
Yeah,
it
that's true.
real
That's
quick
true.
after it's done, or we won't. Anyway, Wizard Jam is happening.
Yep. Also, the Idle Santa is, if you signed up for Idle Santa on the forums to both send and receive secret gifts, check your forum messages because those have been assigned. So you now should have someone to send gifts to, and someone else should have your information to send you a gift. Just a reminder about that.
That's our house ads.
That's true. KZ Cook writes in, Listening to last week's podcast, or this was, I guess, is from a week ago. Listening to the podcast regarding what Mario says in that sound clip reminded me to email you guys that your Idle Thumbs games in your opening song, not what it says, already appropriate, sounds like...
Yes, it does. It says Idle Thumbs Games. Those are the first three words.
Oh,
of
you're
the
right,
theme
of
song.
course. Sounds like I don't fucking games. Every time I hear it, that's what I hear. Even the old versions sound like this to me. I can't be the only one who hears this. Anyways, always great podcast.
Oh,
You
people
get me
wrote
through
in
the
with a
workdays. Never
ton of
final.
things that they thought Idle Thumbs said, and I think we forgot to
I think people tweeted a lot of them, and we forgot to sort of compile all of those.
I don't fucking care or something with like a
yeah,
lot
that
of,
was one. That was
yeah.
one that people thought.
Yeah, these are all fine
I don't fucking
substitutions.
care games.
It's just- I
Yeah.
have no issue with any
Well,
of
the
that,
current
really.
theme song just says Idle Thumbs ... video games. That's it. It doesn't have you say
That's
games,
true.
video
That's
games
why.
over
That's
and over
why
again.
I forgot
yeah.
that. That's why everybody used to say.
Yeah. Oh, what was last week's episode called? Whatever.
Why?
Something about a sad or
Oh,
no.
the sad tale of a modern idiot.
Yes,
Yeah.
there are already 2 Wizard Jam games themed around
Oh, wow.
that. That's like the
Oh,
ultimate
wow, that's
Wizard
great.
Jam power move is to take the mid jam
Yeah.
episode and then make a
Jeez.
game in like 4 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway. This is all very meta reader mail
Yeah,
this
that's
week.
true. Yeah, we got to wrap it up anyway. But
Yep.
you can send us reader mail at questions@idlethumbs.net for next week when we read a lot more of it, I'm sure. Also, we streamed this episode. We are currently, as we speak, streaming this episode live on Twitch. By the time you hear this, it will hopefully be up or soon up on our YouTube channel at idlevideos.com/YouTube. And if you're watching
Whoa.
this... Oh, fuck. YouTube.com/idlevideos. Yeah, sorry.
We've taken over.
Idle Videos
Yeah.
purchased YouTube from the Alphabet Company.
And if you're watching this on Twitch or YouTube, this is also available in audio podcast form on iTunes and should be on the Google Play Store and Stitcher and just wherever else
But
you get podcasts.
all formats are available at idlethumbs.net/idlethumbs.
Yes. Including the YouTube video is going to be up there going forward now.
Yep.
So yeah, thanks for listening. We're on Twitter at idlethumbs, on Facebook at facebook.com/idlethumbs. And we have all sorts of other podcasts at idlethumbs.net.
I saw someone in Twitch chat suggest that now that our podcast exists in so many forms, since you can watch it or listen to it, we should just go back to our roots and just tell everyone thanks for reading, the one medium that we do not exist in.
Oh, that's true.
We've called
We
everyone
don't do-
readers for
we don't do
years.
transcripts, yeah.
Yeah, everyone who's listened for years has been referred to as a reader. So
Yeah.
now if you're watching, you're also a reader, just so you know.
Yep.
Thanks, readers.
Thanks, readers.
Thanks, readers.
We'll write to you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh, all right. Is everything working still?
I don't know. I turned the computer
Yeah, it
monitor off.
It is? Okay.
That's fine.
Good.
Oh, yeah. What's the episode called, everyone in chat? The things that I wrote down were different souls, which is a thing that you said at one point.
Oh, I have one that is what it needs to be, which is locked in this prison of my mind.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Done. Locked in this prison of my mind. Oh, also, we should make sure that the price of Omaha Steaks is correct, and if not, edit that out of the ad.
Yeah.
Anyway, hi, Twitch. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Oh man, thanks for watching, chat. Oh.
Yep. I think that's it. I'm going to turn everything off now. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.